Hi, I'm Dan Herbert, course developer and instructor at Point Blank, and this tutorial video gives you a flavour of what you can expect on our online courses. If you want to develop your music production skills further, head to www.pointblankmusicschool.com to find out more about this course, plus many more that we offer in London, Los Angeles, Ibiza and online. In the fourth video of this series, I'm going to show you how I created 3 sounds on Arturia's Moog Modular V3, using some of the techniques we cover on the sound design modules of our degree programme. So let's get started. What we're going to do to begin with, come down to template and we're going to choose a blank sequence. So the sound I'm going to create to begin with is just going to be a basic stab sound, and from that we can create lots of variations. So let's choose something like a sawtooth. Then we're going to go into the mixer down here and choose another sawtooth, go into the mixer down here, and then the third one we'll do a square wave. We'll need to link these together, so it basically combines these 3 inputs and it routes them out of this output. And we're going to go through the filter, out of the filter, into the VCA in. I'm just going to turn down here. So it's fairly basic at the moment. Let's tune it up. Okay, I just need to reset these. So I've tuned that up to 8 foot. This can go to 8 foot. And I just need to open that filter a bit because we can't really hear the sounds. Good. And then we're going to just detune these a touch, just to kind of add an extra richness to the sound. So I'm going to push this up by about 20, and then this one down by about 20. That will do. You can hear it just adds a little bit more kind of a chorusing effect to it. Yeah, this third oscillator, 16 foot, seems good. Just underpinning it, and I'm also going to, let's shift this up by 7 semitones. Okay, in terms of the volumes, I'm just going to bring these down a touch. Good, and now what I want is to get an envelope to modulate that filter. So from envelope 1, the out, into the mod in. Okay, and in terms of how I'm going to shape this, let's have the decay around like half a second, sustain on 0, release. Bit kind of faster. Now at the moment it doesn't sound particularly fat, and a quick way to make it sound fat is to switch on unison mode. So if I come down here, switch to unison, and I don't know, let's layer it up 4 times. Okay, so just adjusting this cutoff. Get more modulation going on. Can create a variety of different sounds. Equally the decay time. Can have quite a pronounced effect as well. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of dirt to the sound. Just a little bit of subtle saturation, just put on soft clip, and also we've got soft clip here. And this is more noticeable when we push the levels a bit harder. And I also want to add a little bit of delay to this. Let's switch on VCA 1 and push these up. Get a little bit of difference between the left and right. This one's slightly longer, so I pull the feedback back a touch. Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually going to turn the volume up a bit. Pulse width. So that's our basic stab sound. What I want to do now is to use the sequencer basically as an arpeggiator. So to get the sequencer to control the pitch, I need to come to this little box here, and we're going to switch it to S1. So row 1 basically is S1, and then we need to set up these knobs here to specific pitches. Okay, just double click to set them to default. Fine. And in terms of the values here, I'm just going to go up in terms of an arpeggio. So +3, which is a third, and then +7, which is a fifth, down to 3 again, 7, and then we could go down by an octave, so -5, -9, and then we could do a cheeky little, just a semitone above. If I play a note, can't hear it working, let's just speed up the frequency rate. You can now hear it cycling through. What I also want to happen is the envelopes to re-trigger. So if I come up to the filter envelope and control click here, and then we just want to choose sequencer trigger, and I also want to do exactly the same on the VCA in, so come here in sequencer trigger. So now when I hold down a note, we're off. We can also adjust the length. Okay, and depending on your envelope settings is how much of a significant effect that will have. Brilliant. Now, what also might be quite interesting here is to modulate the filter. So if I come here and switch this to S4, sequencer 4. So S4 is a combination of the different rows. And if I come to chain, I'm going to find L13, and so this will go through row 1 and then it will go through row 3. If I just turn that one up, there you go. Don't. You can hear this one is emphasized, or I could do 2 emphasized together. You can hear how it's affecting the actual sound. What might be quite interesting is if we connect up a second filter here. So out in, the out of that to VCA in 2. Let's turn soft clip on and pan that one to the right, that one to the left slightly, turn both these down, and just need to make sure, yeah, that's on sequencer trigger. That's good. Hold down a note. And then we need to get this envelope filter to trigger it. Also need to add a little bit of delay to that VCA2 as well. And then what would be quite nice, just to get a slow sine wave LFO. That's not slow. Just to open and close that filter. And there we've got our arpeggiated stab sound. Okay, so for the next sound I'm going to create a pad sound which kind of drifts in, has got some stereo interest and also some nice movement to it. So start with template blank synth. Okay, and let's start by adding a square wave and a sawtooth wave together. We'll need to link those so we hear them, and then take the output, route it through the filter, and from out of the filter into the VCA in. While I'm here, I'm just going to turn down the volume. Let's play a note. So that's pretty low at the moment. Let's just set the pitches. So that's on 0, width to 0.5. Double click on these to reset them, and I want to set these to 8 foot. So when I play in the middle of the keyboard, that's a bit better. At the moment, I'm trying to play a chord and I'm just getting one note. So we need to turn on polyphony. So come down here and we want to switch this switch across and then increase the polyphony. Let's set it to around 8. And now if I play, it's quite a soft sound, so the filter is working away on the sound. Also what I want to do is just kind of introduce a little bit of detuning to these sounds, these oscillators. So if I hold down Shift key and push this one up by about 0.0010, there we go, and hold down Shift key and then pull this down by 0.0010, 10. There we go. Okay. Brilliant. Let's just balance these. So I'm going to pull this one down around there. That's good. And the other thing I want to do as well is just add a little bit of movement to the sound. Okay, so the pulse width actually affects the sawtooth as well as the square wave. So to do this, what we can do is just grab the LFO. Let's go from the sine wave into the pulse width here. Okay, and then just push that up. There you go. You can hear the sound changing subtly. And I switched it to the midpoint. Okay, so this is just working in terms of hertz. If you want to, you can turn it up for a more kind of chorusy type of effect, but that's fine. It's just adding some more subtle movement. Brilliant. The next thing I want to do is obviously make it more pad-like. At the moment the sound just comes on. So let's increase the attack time. The attack time, if you look down the bottom left-hand corner, says always seems quite long in comparison to how it sounds. About 7 seconds there. Let's push the release, sorry, the sustain up and then increase the release. That's good. And I can turn that volume back up again. Good. So another way to add more drifting quality to it is to use the delay. So switch that onto VCA1. I'm just going to do something along these lines. So about equal dry-wet balance. Perhaps a little chorus as well. Let's switch that onto VCA1. I want to slow the rate right down. Make it a bit more subtle, really. Good. And now let's have a play around with this filter. So what might be quite interesting is to randomly control the cutoff and push the resonance up, so we get these kind of little blips of sound. I'm just going to use the this LFO here. So let's go from the random output into mod in. Okay, and let's switch it to the midpoint. Push up the resonance. Slow it down a bit. So typically when you're setting up modulation, you tweak the cutoff as well as the modulation amount. Depending what effect you're going for. Brilliant. And what I also want to do here is layer up the sound with itself, but a version of itself which isn't modulated. Okay, just to add a little bit more kind of continuity to the sound. So let's go from this filter into VCA 2. And we'll need to turn that up and pan these left and right. You can also kind of increase the stereo effect by not setting your envelope settings precisely. Okay, so if there's difference between them, then again you'll get movement in the stereo sound. Let's open up that filter. That's not working. Right, so if I control click on the trigger input. Okay, this needs to be set to keyboard trigger on. That's good. A bit bright. What could be really effective is if we were to duplicate the oscillators and detune them and use the detuned oscillators. That can work really nicely. Let's turn on the VCA2 here and see how that sounds now. And so we now have nice drifty sound.